Hi everyone, welcome back to Miss Anna's At-Home Science Lab. Let's get going with today's lesson. You'll be working for 5 stars today. You can earn those stars by answering questions and attending to the lesson. Let's check out this video to figure out what will we learn about today in science class.
In there. That soda will gunk up the recycling machines. Hey, how did that get in there? Dear Tim and Moby, how does recycling work? From Sabina. Recycling means that we
Hey, you can't put that in there.
Newspaper from last Sunday.
That soda will gunk up the recycling machines.
All sorts of things can be recycled.
Hey, how did that get in there?
Paper, plastic, aluminum cans,
Dear Tim and Moby,
batteries, and even
how
motor
does
oil.
recycling work? From Sabina.
Sorting is the first step
Recycling
in
means that we
recycling.
take something like this
Some
newspaper from
cities
last
require
Sunday
higher
and
levels of
process
sorting,
it so it
like
can be
making
used
sure
again.
different kinds of paper
All
are
sorts of
separate.
things can be recycled.
But the most common
Paper,
requirement is
plastic,
to place
aluminum
paper
cans,
products in
batteries,
one
and even motor oil.
sturdy containers like glass and plastic
Right.
bottles and metal cans
Sorting
in
is the
another,
first step in
and regular
recycling.
trash in a third.
Some cities require higher
Then
levels
you
of
either
sorting,
drop off
like
your
making sure
recyclables or
different
put them
kinds
out
of
to be
paper are
collected.
separate.
Newspapers
But the
are
most
taken to a
common
paper mill.
requirement is to place paper
At the
products
mill,
in
paper
one
goes
bin,
through a chemical
sturdy
wash to
containers
separate
like
ink from
glass and
paper.
plastic bottles
A
and metal
slusher
cans in
turns the
another,
old paper
and
into a
regular
mushy
trash
mix
in a
of
third
paper
bin.
fiber called pulp.
Then you either drop off your
Detergent
recyclables or put
dissolves
them
the
out to
ink
be
and carries
collected.
it away.
Newspapers are
Screens
taken to a
remove
paper mill.
contaminants like bits of tape
At
or
the mill,
dirt.
paper goes through a chemical wash
Pulp
to
that's
separate
left
ink
gets
from paper.
bleached, mixed with
A
additional
slusher
pulp
turns
from
the
wood
old
chips
paper
to
into a
strengthen it.
mushy mix of paper
The pulp
fiber
is
called
poured
pulp.
onto a moving screen that lets the moisture
Detergent
out.
dissolves the ink and carries it
Once it's
away.
hardened, the paper is fed through
Screens
steam-heated
remove
rollers that
contaminants like
flatten
bits of
a
tape or
continuous sheet
dirt.
of paper.
The pulp that's
Tomorrow's
left gets
newspaper can be
bleached and
printed on
mixed
that
with
same
additional
paper, and the
pulp from
recycling
wood
loop
chips
is
to
complete.
strengthen it.
Pretty
The
cool.
pulp is poured onto a moving
Yeah,
screen
that
that lets
soda
the
can is
moisture out.
eventually going to a recycling
Once
plant
it's
too.
hardened, the
An
paper is
aluminum
fed through
recycling
steam-heated
plant,
rollers that
obviously.
flatten it into a continuous
First,
sheet of
the
paper.
aluminum gets shredded into small
Tomorrow's
pieces.
newspaper can be printed on that same
Then the
paper, and
pieces
the
are all
recycling loop
melted
is
into a
complete.
huge furnace to
Pretty
make
cool.
molten or liquefied aluminum.
Yeah, that soda can is eventually going to a
Lastly, they're
recycling
shaped
plant
into
too.
metal
An
casts
aluminum
called
recycling
ingots
plant,
that can be
obviously.
melted down later and used for
First,
making
the
new
aluminum gets
product.
shredded into small pieces. Then the pieces are all melted into a
Plastics are a little
huge
more
furnace to make
complicated.
molten
That's
or
because there are many
liquefied
different
aluminum.
types of plastic, and they can't be
Lastly,
mixed
they're
with other
shaped into
types.
metal casts called
Most
ingots that
plastics
can
have
be
a little
melted down
recycle
later
sign
and
on
used
them
for
with a
making
number
new
and a
aluminum
special
products.
code. That's the resin identification code, and each one
Well,
stands for a
plastics are a
different
little
type
more
of plastic.
complicated. That's because there
So,
are many
before they
different
can be
types of
recycled,
plastic,
plastics
and they
need to
can't
be
be
very
mixed with other
carefully
types.
sorted. Actually,
Most
many
plastics have a
communities
little
only recycle
recycle sign on
types
them
of
with a
plastic
number
because
and a
it's too
special code.
expensive to recycle
That's the
every kind.
resin identification
So
code,
make
and
sure you
each
check
one
with your
stands for a
local
different
recycling
type of
program to see
plastic.
what can and can't be
So,
recycled.
before they can be recycled, plastics
Most
need to
things
be
with a
very
1,
carefully
2, or
sorted.
3 identification
Actually, many
code
communities
usually
only
can't be
recycle a
recycled.
few
Things
types
like
of
water
plastic
and
because
soda
it's too
bottles,
expensive to
grocery
recycle
bags,
every kind.
milk and juice cartons, and
So make sure
detergent
you check
bottles.
with your local recycling program to see what
Well,
can and
yeah,
can't be
it does take
recycled.
some work to recycle, but
Most
recycling
things
is
with a
better for
1,
us
2,
and for
or
the earth.
3 identification code usually
Recycling
can be
reduces
recycled.
pollution,
Things like water
energy,
and soda
and the use of
bottles,
raw
grocery
materials.
bags,
It
milk
creates
and juice
jobs,
cartons,
and it
and
reduces
detergent
the need
bottles.
for landfills.
Well, yeah, it does take some work to recycle, but recycling is better for us
Nice to see
and
you
for
so
the
excited
earth.
about recycling.
Recycling reduces pollution, energy, and the use of raw materials. It creates jobs, and it reduces the need for landfills.
Okay, that's really not the idea.
It's nice to see you
Right,
so
thanks
excited
for
about
watching that
recycling.
video with me, you guys. So now let's make a prediction
that's really
on
not
what
the
we will
idea.
learn about today. The steps to testing an idea are to listen to the question, make a prediction, analyze the information that you have, and then we will check your prediction and make a conclusion. Based on the video, what do you predict we will learn about today? Animal tracks, recycling, or balloon art? If you said recycling, you are correct. Here's our I can statement for today. I can identify and carry out methods of preserving natural resources. such as recycling, composting, and conserving water. By the end of this unit, you will be able to answer, how can I reduce pollution? What can I do to conserve my local community? Let's find out. The steps for synthesizing knowledge are to listen to the teacher, listen to the whole lesson, think about the information right now, and then let's think about this information later and apply it to our everyday life. How can we make small changes every day to help our environment? Your vocabulary word for today is recycling. Recycling. Can you circle recycling? Recycling is the process of taking materials ready to be thrown away and changing them into reusable materials. We'll also be learning the word compost. Compost. Can you circle compost? Compost is a mixture of decaying leaves, vegetables, or manure that is used to improve garden soil. And finally, we will be learning the word carpooling. Carpooling. Can you circle carpooling? Carpooling is when a group of people take turns driving each other to work or driving each other's children to school. Let's learn about reducing, reusing, and recycling. First up is reduce. Reduce. We can reduce by not using single-use plastic, like cups that you only use once and then you throw away. By joining the reusable revolution, getting a water bottle that you can reuse each day, wash it out, a coffee cup that you can reuse each day, bags that you reuse instead of getting a plastic bag every time you go to the store. You can shop local and use plastic-free bagging. Bring your own bag. Don't use as many bathroom and cleaning products. Buy things secondhand instead of brand new. That's reusing. Buy fewer high-quality items made to last. Choose products made from recycled materials, like shoes. A lot of shoes are made from recycled materials. Consider sharing or hiring instead of owning something. And lead by example to inspire others. Try to encourage others to reduce their use as well. All right, let's talk about carpooling. So carpooling, you're sharing the journey, and it's a good way to meet new people and good for the eco-friendly environment. It saves money and it reduces the amount that you would pay for fuel. In a lot of cities, you can actually carpool with Uber and Lyft, so you can request a ride share, and that way you may not know the other people who are getting a ride, but they're going the same way as you usually, and it's reducing the amount of fuel. It is reducing the amount of drivers that are needed, so reducing the amount of cars on the road. Benefits of carpooling are that they reduce your carbon footprint. So much better for the environment to have less cars on the road. It reduces the use of carpool lanes, or the amount of cars that are having to use them. And also, you get to use the carpool lanes, which is really nice, because usually they can just fly on through and get to where they're going while everybody else is stuck in traffic. A usable commute time, all right? So if you're sitting in the back instead of driving, you can use that time to catch up on your work. Saves money, for sure, saving money on fuel. And it reduces traffic congestion. So less traffic on the road, less cars, less traffic. All right, let's jump into reusing. So we were talking about reducing, now let's talk about reusing items. You can reuse grocery and produce bags. And if you do get plastic bags, try to at least reuse them. Reuse Tupperware and wax cloth instead of using plastic alternatives. Instead of the single-use plastic alternatives. So instead of like the saran wrap, try to use containers that you can reuse over and over. Reuse jars as cups to store food or for a craft project. You can say no to these plastic straws and buy reusable straws instead. Always bring your reusable water bottle with you. And you can even get reusable utensils, napkins, cups, and plates. Instead of when you have a party and getting the single-use ones that everybody throws away, try to use ones that you can wash and use again. All right, now let's get into recycling. Recycle. So what can you recycle? You can recycle things like glass, metal, and cans, plastics, cardboard and cartons like milk cartons, and paper and newspaper. Yes, you can recycle those things. Things you cannot recycle, and things that some of these you could put in compost though, are wood and yard clippings. Those could go in the compost. Food, you cannot recycle it, but it can go in compost. Propane or fuel tanks, you cannot recycle those. Light bulbs, no, you cannot recycle light bulbs in the recycling bin. Foam, nope. Clothes, no, but you can donate your clothes so they can be reused. Sharps, you cannot recycle. Diapers or pet litter cannot recycle. And plastic bags and plastic wraps, you cannot put them in the recycling bin, but there are special ways to recycle plastic bags. Let's sing along with this fun Jack Hartman song about recycling.
Children's songs, sing and move along. Children's songs, make your brain and body strong. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Just a little goes a long way. Recycle paper, cardboard, glass. Recycle plastic, bottles, aluminum cans. Recycle newspapers and magazines. You can do it. Recycle every day. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Just a little goes a long way. Recycle paper, cardboard, glass. Recycle plastic, bottles, aluminum cans. Recycle newspapers and magazines. You can do it. Recycle every day. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Recycle every day. Just a little goes a long way. Just a little goes a long way. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment.
All right, what a fun jam. Let's read the story now on recycling. It's called Why Do We Recycle? Our Earth is a good place to live. We have land and water on Earth. We have plants and trees. People build houses. Farmers grow food. But we must take care of Earth so it will stay a good place to live. Recycling is one way to help Earth. Recycling means to take something old and make something new from it. Instead of throwing things in the trash, we can recycle them to make something else that we can use. There are many things that can be recycled. Have you seen this sign before? It is a recycling loop. The 3 arrows on the sign tell us about the 3 steps of recycling. First, collect things to recycle. Second, make something new from the recycled things. Third, buy new things that are made from recycled materials. Trees are used to make paper. We can recycle our old paper. The old paper will be made into new paper products, like napkins or toilet paper. Fewer trees will need to be cut down when we recycle. Landfills are places where our trash goes. It is not good for the land to have a lot of landfills. By recycling, we reduce the trash that goes into landfills. If we don't recycle, more and more trash will go to landfills until they all get filled up. Then, where will the trash go? Aluminum is a metal. We get metal from Earth. A soda can is made of aluminum. Aluminum can be recycled to make new cans. That means that less metal will need to be taken from the Earth. We can keep Earth clean so it is a good place to live. Learn about ways to recycle in your school and your community. Don't throw plastic, glass, paper, or metal in the trash. Find a recycling bin and help the Earth. The end. Thanks for reading that story with me, guys. Now let's learn about something called compost. Composting is when you take things like leaves and foods and eggshells and you put them into a bin and let them disintegrate, break down, decompose, and then it becomes this very rich soil that you can use to grow new life, to grow new plants. So composting basics, you want to alternate the green and the brown layers and sprinkle in the water in between. This is how you can make one. So greens are things like vegetable scraps, fruit peels, grass clippings, coffee grounds, flowers or leaves, and even hair and fur can go in there. And then the browns are things like dry leaves, wood chips and twigs, hay, eggshells, cardboard, and shredded newspaper. I know that in ecology class, you guys had a compost bin that you were working on before. I wonder if that's still there and if you guys could go take a look at it. All right, these piles are called landfills, okay? So let's learn a little bit about composting, and also we'll be talking a bit about landfills in this video.
We are going to teach you how to compost at
All right, let's learn how to compost at our school.
What is compost? Compost is a pile of green organic matter, like food, garden waste, or manure, that has been mixed with brown organic matter, such as leaves, straw, or wood chips. Over time, the compost pile decomposes or breaks down into soil. Billions of tiny creatures help with this breakdown, including worms and fungus, and bacteria. Compost is very rich in nutrients and can be used in gardens and fields to grow crops and to heal soil. And why should we compost?
Compost helps our world so it doesn't be all just loaded with trash.
Garbage doesn't get used like compost does because garbage goes into a big pile wherever that is.
These piles are called landfills. When you throw your food into the garbage, this is where it ends up. Landfills seriously affect our planet's air and our water. When sent to a landfill, leftover food, also known as food scraps, will produce a gas called methane. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas that goes into our air and contributes to global warming in a big way. Greenhouse gases trap the sun's heat in our atmosphere and warm up our planet. Hotter temperatures can lead to melting ice caps, rises in sea level, and animals losing their homes. There is a lot of water in food. And when food scraps are put into the landfill, the water from the food combines with all the other items in the landfill to create a toxic sludge called leachate. Leachate can leak into groundwater and get into our rivers and lakes, harming the creatures that live there and dirtying the water that we drink or swim in. When we compost our food scraps, instead of sending them to the landfill, we reduce both the amount of methane and leachate created, but also we conserve space in our limited landfills. In short, composting is much better for our planet.
Okay, so composting, it strengthens community bonds. It's something fun that connects people. It also improves the soil quality and adds nutrients back into the soil that are essential for the plants to grow. It reduces vehicle emissions. It cuts transportation distances between material generators and compost producers. And it supports local food production because it reduces fertilizer costs and increases crops. Here's an optional game if you guys would like to play. You can sort and learn to recycle. There are different levels. You can select your character. Let's be a possum today. shows you which items can be recycled. And then we'll just go through. Can we recycle that? Yes, we can. Cell phone. But a can. Yeah, we can recycle that. All right, so if you guys would like to play, that's a great little interactive game. There's another game here. If that one doesn't look, it's for you. You can pull those up through the slideshow, teachers. Which items can be recycled? All right. So you guys can use your annotation tool to circle or draw a line to the box. Which items here can be recycled? Pause the video and go ahead and use your annotation tool. Okay, same thing here. Circle all waste items that do not belong to the group. What does not belong in recycling? Circle. Okay, if you chose the orange, you are correct. The orange does not belong in recycling. This coffee cup, it depends on what it's made out of. It's kind of hard to tell in this. If that is made of styrofoam, it is also not recyclable. All right. Circle all items that do not belong to the group. What can we not reuse? What items can we not reuse? We cannot reuse that jack-o'-lantern. Man. We could reuse this jar. We could reuse this bag. We could reuse this jug. And we could reuse this paper bag for something fun if it doesn't get dirty. All right, circle all waste items that do not belong to the group here. What does not belong in compost? What does not belong in compost? The item that does not belong in compost is this can over here. You cannot put that in compost, but you could put it in recycling. So what can we do right now to save the earth?
Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. It can be pretty scary to think of all the dangers of climate change. In the past, we've learned together why we should care. But today, let's find out how to be proactive about the situation. One way to help is to drive less when you can. Rather than using your own personal car, try to carpool or use public transportation. If your destination is close enough, maybe even consider walking or riding a bike. Carbon dioxide or CO2 is a major contributor to climate change, and vehicles are a large portion of the CO2 humanity produces. In fact, it's estimated that for every 2-mile car trip you take, 2 pounds of CO2 are put into the atmosphere. Please thank all those kids riding skateboards, because they're kind of saving the world, even though they won't get off my lawn. You can also help out by recycling and reusing things when you can. Rather than throwing out all your gadgets and gizmos, see if you can find another use for them or donate them to charity if the product is still good. Recycling helps fight climate change because it takes less energy to make something from recycled products than starting from scratch. Also, consider buying things with less packaging in the first place, or items that use recyclable packaging. This next one might be a little scary to everyone who has ever taken part in the war for the thermostat, but I challenge you to try and let your homes be a little warmer in the summer and a little colder in the winter. even if it's just by a few degrees. Moving your thermostat up 2 degrees in the summer and down 2 degrees in the winter could eliminate an estimated 2,000 pounds of CO2 a year. And believe it or not, your diet can play a huge part in the climate change battle. Consider eating less meat when you can, as the animal agriculture industry emits a large amount of greenhouse gases. The livestock sector, which includes things like feed production and transport, is responsible for around 14% of all the greenhouse gas emissions around the globe. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go vegetarian or vegan, but maybe try things like Meatless Mondays or pick a plant-based option for even just one meal when you could have had meat. Every little bit helps. I know that kale salad looks scary, but you could do it. It should be noted, however, that it might not be as simple as all plants are better for the environment than all meats when taking everything into account, such as the energy required to produce the food. Overall, though, plant-based diets seem to be better for the fight against climate change than meat-based ones. Another thing you can do is inspire others to join the fight against climate change. This can be as simple as talking to your friends and family about the issues, or organizing groups and events in your local community. You can even contact your government officials and urge them to take action and have policies that lead to a healthier, greener future. And think about this: if you lose your world, well, then I kinda lose mine. I partnered up with an Inconvenient Sequel to bring you this video because the stakes have never been higher when it comes to saving our planet. However, we are close to a real energy revolution, and you can take action and learn more by watching the film. Send a message of truth to power and see an Inconvenient Sequel in New York and Los Angeles starting July 28th. And hey there!
Alright guys, so recycling is different everywhere. Here's a list of the items that you can recycle in Mecklenburg County. You can recycle plastic containers, cartons and juice boxes, empty aerosol cans, aluminum cans, cereal boxes, cardboard boxes, magazines, glass bottles and jars, tin and paper, junk mail, and newspaper. All right, note that you can only recycle plastic containers with necks. So things like yogurt containers and containers that are like a boxy shape that are plastic cannot be recycled in Mecklenburg County, unfortunately. All right, here's our diversity piece. Learn more about recycling in your community. You can click on this link to learn more about Mecklenburg County's Recycling Center. I will let you guys do that exploring as a class or as a research project at home. So let's review. What goes where? Well, what goes in the garbage is plastic cutlery, styrofoam, and wrappings like chip and cookie wrappers. What goes in the recycling is things like papers, newspaper, cardboard, and compost is old food, coffee grounds, and soiled paper towels, fruit and veggie scraps. All right, the steps to critical thinking and problem solving. You will listen to the question, listen to all the answer choices, think about your choices, and answer by choosing one of the answer choices. Where should I place a banana peel? Does it go in the compost bin, trash can, or recycle bin? If you said compost bin, you are correct. Where should I place a soda can? Should it go in the compost bin, trash can, or recycling bin? If you said recycling bin, you are correct. What is an example of reuse? Throwing away trash, recycling soda cans, or using reusable water bottles. If you said using reusable water bottles, you are correct. Way to go, guys. You have earned your 5 stars for attending to the lesson. Here's another optional activity. You can go and recycle. You can do a recycling sorting game, and you can do recycling bingo together. If you're at home, you could play as the whole class online, or you could play with any siblings or friends you have at home. All right, guys, great job. Don't forget to complete your Google Form activity for the day. Have a good one. See you next time at Miss Anna's At Home Science Lab.